Hey, what's up guys? I'm just out for a quick ride today. I've been cooped up in the house for like 2 weeks now, and really needed to get out and get some supplies and stuff, so trying to do my part, but at the same time gotta get some stuff, so I was forced to come out today. Luckily it's a really nice day out. So just made a quick stop over to a coworker's house. She was making some face masks for some people that she knows over there, and I thought that was really nice. Her and her husband are helping out, trying to keep some of their friends safe, you know. So this month, April 2020, marks 1 year since I've been riding a motorcycle, and I kind of wanted to share my perspective on that, being that I decided to learn how to ride when I was in my 40s. And I know a lot of people probably get to that age and they think that maybe they're too old to learn, or, you know, for whatever reason, they think it's going to take much longer to be able to get good at it, so they don't even try. And in my case, it was just something I always wanted to do. So I had this intern come into my job, and I think he was 18 or 19, and you know, he came in with the motorcycle helmet and jacket on and stuff all the time. And so you know, being that I've always had an interest, I started asking him questions about it. He had only actually been riding for a couple of months at that point when he started working with me, and so he gave me some information on the place where he learned how to ride, and you know, I'll put that information in the description. I went to Team Arizona here in Gilbert, Arizona, because you know, basically that was the closest one to me. There's a number of places where you can actually go and learn how to ride. Some of the Harley dealers have courses, so you can actually learn through them, and a couple other places. You know, like I said, I picked that one because it was close to me. And that was actually the one that that my coworker had been to. Thanks a lot, dude. So I ended up booking a class, and it's really weird. I don't know if anybody else out there in my age bracket has the same kind of circumstances, but there was a point in my life where I would not have even considered riding a motorcycle. It was just like way too dangerous in my mind. I don't know what it is exactly, but I reached a certain point in my mid-40s where I kind of crossed the threshold or something, and I'm like, you know what, this is something I've always wanted to do. I think it's something I can handle, and to me it suddenly became worth the risk. It's really weird. I don't know how to describe it. And one of the things that I realized was that there were certain things I could do to mitigate the risks, and one of those being, you know, all the gear all the time. I always have boots and a motorcycle jacket and gloves and a helmet. I do even have some riding pants, but I don't always wear those. I kind of save those riding pants, they're like Kevlar jeans, and I save those for when I go like on longer rides, when I'm on the freeway and stuff. So I figured that way, you know, like the higher speed rides where I'd like a little bit more protection. Yeah, as a new rider, you know, you're concentrating on a lot of stuff, and if you have some good gear on, that's one less thing you have to worry about, and you can worry more about your technique instead of the dangers associated with what you're actually doing at the moment. I try to be very conscious of my location and how closely I follow other vehicles, what lane I'm in, to kind of increase my visibility. Oh, I just thought of another thing. You know, there's also things I do to my bike to make myself more visible as well, like putting LED lights on here. And, you know, I've got a tail light on here that actually flashes and strobes when I hit the brake, and it just cycles through it. I don't have to like keep releasing and hitting the brake pedal. Any little thing that I can do without going overboard to make myself more visible to traffic. The store isn't going to have anything. The other big reason I decided to learn right now when I did was because I have suffered from some back issues for a number of years, and I kind of wanted to learn how to do this before I missed my opportunity. You know, luckily I'm having it treated and I'm doing okay, so it's hanging in there. Being on this more comfortable bike helps out a lot. You know, I'm definitely still okay to ride. I wouldn't put myself or anybody else in that kind of danger if I didn't think I could handle it. I definitely don't want to be getting into an accident and causing problems for myself or other people, you know, if I wasn't comfortable doing this. Well, I got to run into the store, so I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Still have a couple more errands to run. So a lot of people I talk to ask me how my class actually was, and I'll tell you briefly about that. Now, my experience might be different from other people's, just because the place that I took the test at might run things, you know, differently than other places. But I attended a weekend class. It was a 2-day, a Saturday and a Sunday, the end of last April, and it was actually the first day in Arizona that was over 100 degrees. So that was kind of fun. You know, we're out on the blacktop parking lot doing bike training, and I did not bring any water with me. They did provide water there, I mean, but I didn't drink a lot during the breaks, and I ended up getting really dehydrated and making myself sick the first day. I also got really bad sunburn. You don't really think about it because you have a helmet on, but at that point my visor was not tinted, and I did not have sunblock on, so I ended up getting sunburn and dehydrated, and I think I ended up with a little bit of heat exhaustion. Got home that night, had a bunch of bottles of Gatorade, hydrated myself back up, got a good night's sleep, and then the next morning before my second day class, I went and bought one of those Camelbacks, I think they're called. You know, it's like a hydration backpack. I was able to have some cold water or some like Gatorade or something in the bag, and a little tube that was over my shoulder. So anytime I got a little bit thirsty, I could just grab a little sip, and it was just enough to keep me going. It was great. The instructors over there were amazing. There was not any point during the whole weekend that I felt that any of the lessons were beyond my grasp, or that I had particular difficulty with anything within reason. I mean, I think everybody starting out may have some issues with a few different tasks that you learn, like left and right turns from a stop, where you have to shift your weight on the bike, you know, that whole slow speed balance type thing. You know, the U-turns and the figure eights, those, in my opinion, aren't as difficult as the tight turns from a stop. Those are what I personally had more trouble with. Not enough trouble to fail the class or get any points deducted for that, because by the time the evaluation part came about, I was pretty good with those tasks. Not great. I mean, I still had to practice, you know, after I got my endorsement. Like I said, today's errand day, so I'm going and picking up all my medications and everything else too. So one final thing about the classes is that basically I highly recommend taking it, even if you don't plan on buying your own bike and, you know, being a full-time rider, or even a weekend rider. I mean, if you just want to learn a skill, I think it's a great skill to have. So an important lesson that I learned through this whole bike process is choosing a bike may not be exactly straightforward. I actually didn't even know what I really needed until pretty much after I bought my third bike. I think swapping out the bikes quickly like I did actually helped my progress, at least for me personally, because I was able to start slow on a lightweight bike, inexpensive bike that I wasn't really afraid of dropping and stuff. So my confidence level was a little bit up. So I think I was more free to kind of explore and take chances, like, you know, going to an empty parking lot and setting up some cones and stuff, and practicing my U-turns and my slow speed maneuvers. A lot of times, from what I've seen and from what I've heard from other people, is that that's usually when you're going to drop the bike, when you're trying stuff like that. So I actually risked my first and my second bike, you know, kind of by doing that when I was still a new rider. But luckily, nothing happened. I never dropped it. So, and luckily I haven't dropped one yet. I wish I had something to knock on right now, but yeah, I've been fortunate. So the first bike that I bought, I actually bought it a month before my rider course, and I was so sure that I was gonna like it that I just went and bought a bike that was like $6,000, and and I had it sit in my garage for a month. And, you know, I started it up a couple times, and you know, but I was afraid to shift it into gear because I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I had literally never been on a bike before in my life. I sat on them at the dealers, but that's about it. I bought this 2019 Honda Rebel 300, and I used that bike for probably only about 6 weeks, and that would be a stretch. I don't even think it lasted that long. So just to give you an idea of how quick I swapped that bike out, I don't even think I had my permanent plates yet before I traded the bike in. I'm not saying that this is good or that I recommend doing this. It's probably a really bad idea, and if I had to do it over again, I definitely would not do that. So don't do what I do. But basically, I rode that bike for a few weeks, and you know, I took it on a couple, not even long rides, but you know, like out here there's some open areas and you get a lot of crosswinds. And what happened was, you know, I rode into some crosswinds, and I was having to lean the bike like really drastically into the wind just to keep upright, and I was really not comfortable with that. So I started looking into heavier bikes, and you know, I had always liked Harleys, but I thought they were out of my price range until I saw the Sportsters. And you know, yeah, it was kind of probably twice as much as the Honda, but it was also a lot more bike for the money. So I traded in the Honda Rebel for a 2019 Harley-Davidson Iron 883, and I was so stoked to have a Harley, but at the same time, you know, the handlebars, due to my back problems, I was kind of hunched forward, so it wasn't the most comfortable. And then the mid controls, with my height, I'm 6 feet tall, so those mid controls were a little bit rough. So I planned on doing all this stuff to that bike, like putting forward controls on it, getting a new seat, getting some kind of like windshield on there, and getting some new bars. The bars were the main thing. So yeah, there's those crosswinds I was telling you about. So yeah, on this bike it's not a problem. So one day I was over at the Harley dealer, and I was telling one of the sales guys over there that I know that I was having some issues, and he pointed me over to a couple of used Harley Sportsters that they had, and one of the ones that really caught my eye was the 48 Special. And the cool thing about the 48 Special is you get a bump up from the 883. It goes up to a 1200 cc, and then you have tall boy handlebars on there, so and forward controls. I took that thing for a test ride, and it was night and day. It was so much more comfortable for me to ride than the 883. Just the shoulder position alone was so much more comfortable. So I went and I traded that bike in. Of course I lost some money on the 883 when I traded it, but I thought that would do pretty good. So I rode around on the 48 for a few months. I put some Vance and Hines slip-on mufflers on there, and air intake, and a tuner. I did some work on it, switched out the lights to LEDs, little upgrades here and there. But I kind of made it my own, and it sounded great. It was awesome. I had the Vance & Hines Twin Slash mufflers on there, and then I put the quiet baffles, because believe it or not, it was a little bit too loud for my personal taste with the standard baffles in there. I was getting headaches when I was riding. So one day I decided to take my 48 Special on the freeway, and it was a particularly windy day. It was the first time on that bike that I had not felt comfortable. The road that I was driving on was I wouldn't say it was in a state of disrepair. It just wasn't the greatest road. It was really bumpy, so I really noticed the kind of the lacking suspension on the Sportsters at that point. My back was hurting bad. I was up in 5th gear, going as fast as I was comfortable. I don't even think I was doing 80, but the bike was shaking so bad that I just got a really uncomfortable feeling on it. I think it was actually the next weekend after that I went back over to the Harley dealer and talked to them about what I was experiencing. Of course, the sales guys are going to tell you need a bigger bikes, but what they were saying made a lot of sense. The suspension on the Softails were a lot more comfortable to me. They have a 6th gear, so you could definitely do highway stuff, and I felt like it was a really good decision. So I upgraded the 48 Special to the 2019 Harley Lowrider. So I actually got a really good deal on this bike because I bought it at the end of 2019, so it was like the end of model year. So they had like $2,000 off of retail or something like that. It's something crazy, and it really helped me to offset the amount of money I lost on the other 2 bikes. Crap on the road. Wow. So just to be clear, I'm telling you my experience, just to hopefully save you some trouble down the road, that I don't recommend doing what I did. It was a really bad idea. If I had to do it over again, would I? Absolutely. I would actually learn how to do this at an earlier age. I feel like I lost some time that I could have been enjoying this. Would I recommend it for somebody that's middle-aged or older? I say if you're old enough to get an endorsement, any age after that, if you can control the bike without being a danger to yourself or others, I say go for it. Just enjoy the ride. So, do I have any advice for anybody that's wanting to go take a course? I say find one that's convenient for you in your location. It doesn't matter if it's a Harley dealer or Team Arizona or whatever other class you go to. If you're going to take it somewhere where it's really hot out, really sunny, make sure that you hydrate properly, get a good night's sleep before your class so that you're rested up. My course was about $328. that's going to vary depending on where you go, and a lot of places have specials. Some places, I know Harley from time to time will actually offer to reimburse some of that training cost. If you buy a bike from them, they'll discount the training course, you know, give it to you for free basically. But again, you know, those are probably limited specials and stuff, and it may vary in your area. So just to see what's available, pay attention to the gear requirements. A lot of times they'll have a list of stuff that's acceptable for wearing to the course, like a long sleeve shirt, jeans, you know, some kind of boots that go over the ankles. They'll tell you no gym shoes, but again, that varies by location. You're there to learn a skill, but try to have fun at the same time, because you can definitely have fun. That's a big pothole. Ugh. So that's my experience on learning how to ride. I'm really glad I did it, and I highly recommend it to others too. So hopefully my experience will help some of you guys out there that are thinking about getting into riding for the first time. If you like the video, click the like button. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys on the next one.